Welcome to another episode of To Be Quite Honest podcast, your go-to podcast for deep conversations around the world of real estate and more.
And with us today, we have an amazing guest, and we're discussing a topic that's really, really important, to all of us. Now, before I get to the guest, let me introduce the topic first. On this episode, we're going to be talking about navigating real estate investments, with particular focus on steering clear of, scams and all of those type of situations, right? Now, you know that to deal with a topic like this, you need a very experienced person, to help bisect this. Thank you. Not just an expert in the field. So, fun fact, most of the realtor friends I have, most of the people I know are like 5, 9, 8, 10 years. But we're bringing in someone who has decades of experience, who knows the ins and outs. And we know that we have viewers who are in different parts of the world. So long as you're considering investing in Nigeria, this episode is definitely for you. Now, let's get to it. Let's tell them. Do you want to go first?
Let our guest introduce herself. What do you think?
Okay, I'll just tell them.
You want to tell them her name?
Her name.
Okay.
And I'll let her, reel out all of the accomplishments of all the years.
That's okay.
All right. So the guest with us today is no other than. You might know her on Instagram. You might not.
Then stop putting our audience on so
No, let's put them. Shall work too hard to get here. Let's put that. So our guest today is the one, the only, the beautiful, the popular Dr. TAIWO ANJORIN. So Dr. TAIWO, we're so happy to have you with us today.
We're so happy.
Yeah,
Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Yes, we're happy we have you here.
So please tell our viewers who you are, what you've accomplished, how long you've been in space. Let them know that it's credibility that is talking.
Do you understand?
Thank you so much, Ben and Noma, and I'm so happy to be here. My name is Dr. TAIWO ANJORIN. Recently conferred a doctorate, honorary doctorate. It's not like Congratulations. So I've been in practice for about 20 years plus, and I'm an estate surveyor and also a project manager. I run 2 companies, VBS Contractors and Castle Bricks Development Limited. So both we are playing on both sides. So I broker properties for clients and I help people buy, sell. We manage and we also do property development.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have you.
All right, so let's sink our teeth into it right away. We have an expert, so. The first thing I would like to know, as a seasoned real estate expert, right? I mean, you've been helping people buy and sell houses for many years. You've developed, several houses. What red flags in particular should people look out for when they're looking to make investments, real estate investments in Nigeria from your experience?
So I would lay out some foundations because before you invest in real estate, there are quite a number of things you need to look out for. Number 1 is documentation, because you don't want to buy a property that at the end of the day you have troubles with either perfecting your title or even getting the right people that actually own the property. So one of the ways you can actually do your due diligence when it comes to documentation is to do your legal inquiry and also social inquiry. So legal inquiry requires that you go to the Lands Bureau, to Lagos State Lands Bureau, and check with the title document whether you have a survey, you have a deed, or you have the CFO or governor's consent. You can go to the Lands Bureau and check with the file number. It will give you the history of the land transactions that have transpired over the years on that particular property. So that's one of the key things you need to do before you buy into any project. So when you're asking the right questions, whether it's a developer you're asking or is a realtor that you're asking, you need to ask all the questions so you can get the documents. Once you have that, do your due diligence, and you're good to go. Another thing that is like a red flag that I think people should also look out for is to always go to like a physical inspection. You don't want to just base your judgment or buy into any project without seeing it, because a number of people have actually been scammed because they didn't go to the site, they didn't go to verify the property, whether it's even real or whether it's even just a white elephant. So you want to do a physical inspection of the property, and that way I think you'll be safe.
Okay, so thank you for those red flags that we need to look out for. So would you say there are specific regions or like developments in Nigeria that are prone to this this scams around? Like, is there specific region or real estate type of property that is prone to scam?
Okay, so I would say there are lots of land grabbers out there, and we call them land grabbers because a number of times they come promising what is not even available. So we've seen series of instances where government come in and they say, no, we own this land, or a family comes. There are always issues with land matters. So land is something you want to be very, very careful before you buy. So when you have people that, promises you something that is, appears too good to be real, you already know what the market is saying, and somebody is telling you, okay, come and buy.
Forget what the market is saying. I have it like this.
They can even tell you, come and buy a land in Lekki Phase 1 for 10 million to run.
Yeah, of course.
Lekki Phase 1, you can't get any land
for 10 million.
So if the price appears to be too good to be real,
you should know it's a fraud.
You know it's a fraud. So we have issues with land grabbers. We have issues with speculators. I call them speculators because a number of times people paint a picture that is not really true. So you have to be able to find out where the truth is and go physically to the property. The types of property I feel people should be more inclined to invest in are things that people actually need, things that people are actually demanding for. So we have things like lands, apartments, terraces. Those are the kind of properties that are in high demand that you can consider to invest in.
All right, nice. How do you know she's into real estate development if she doesn't start talking about foundations? On the first question, you said, let me lay some foundations first. I'm like, okay. So you had spoken earlier about legal due diligence. You spoke about social due diligence. I would like you to please speak more about that. And if there are any other due diligence practices that, our viewers should be aware of, would also like you to, speak more on these things. Especially and if there are life experiences you can, even bring into these stories to make it even more relatable, would appreciate that.
So when I say legal inquiry, you have to work with professionals. The number one professional you need to verify the title document, because we have different types of title documents that you can actually verify. So from the survey, for example, if they give you a survey, you need to check whether the survey is registered. How do you check whether the survey is registered? You can go to the Lands Bureau or the Surveyor General's office and just certify that is this survey registered, because if it's registered, they have it in their system. So you can verify with that. Then you can also do a physical verification of the survey by taking a land surveyor. A land surveyor will go with you to the site and they will pick the coordinates at that site and they will chart it on the Lagos State Survey Master Plan, and they will tell you that, okay, this particular survey that you're holding is actually in this location. I would cite a particular instance. A client of mine reached out to me some years back and said, there's this property, there's this land, they're doing a promo, I want to buy. I said, calm down. So he bought 2 plots.
From the thing, you told him to calm down.
I told him to calm down. He used to buy 2 plots. So I told him, don't pay to them yet. This is what we're going to do. Because they said the thing was closing in another 2 days. So I told him to send the money to our account. So I raised a post-dated check and I took it to the company. And I told them, you know what, this money will hit our accounts in another 3 days. But just so you know, we're serious and we want to buy this property. My client is ready to pay. This is a check for you to cash on so day after their closing day. So they collected it and they gave us the necessary document for us to go and do our search. So I took my surveyor to the land, and the first thing we did was to do a legal search. We sent the document to Alausa. So at Alausa, the document came out like, okay, it's clear,
normal.
Title is good. So I now went with the surveyor to the site. We went into the estate, not around the estate, inside the estate. And we picked the coordinates. Guess what? The title, the name that the estate itself was reading was different from what was submitted. So it's like you being at Lekki Phase 1 and you are seeing a chart for a land in Chevron. So they're actually using the land in Chevron, the title document of the land in Chevron, to sell the one in Lekki Phase 1.
Wow.
So, and the area was not free. It was encumbered. So I just told him, I did a video of the, normally you are not even allowed to do a video of the, the chart and everything. But I did a video, I could send it to him and I told him, you can't buy this. So that was how I went back and saved him about 6 million that time.
Wow.
Talking of like 7-8 years ago.
Wow. And that was big money then.
Yeah, big money. So we're talking about like 40 million about that time. So that was how I was able to save him. So when you're doing your legal inquiry, your legal search, you work with professionals, you work with lawyers, you work with a land surveyor, you work with an estate surveyor, you work with practically every stakeholder, every professional that you need to be sure that your title is clean, the title of property you're buying is clean. So that's on the legal inquiry. On social inquiry, I call it social because a number of people have lived in a particular neighborhood or a particular environment for a while. That's a woman frying akara just by the roadside. That woman selling bondi by the roadside. They have information. That security guard, that's maid guard that is older, that is in the particular location, they have information. So just go around, ask questions. When you ask questions, they can even tell you more. I've had a series of encounters like that where we ask about a property and they say, that house, don't go there. That house, there is problem. There was one property I was to buy for a client. In fact, this one is already built, not even a land. It's a already built house. And when my client called me like, okay, this property, he likes this one. I've been showing him series of properties. So he said he likes this one. Then we did our normal search. It was okay. Then I now went back to you, like a social inquiry. I happen to know the landlord of the chairman of the land association of that estate. So I went to ask him that this particular property, my client wants to buy it. And I was like, TAIWO, don't go there. There are 2 people fighting for that same land that that person has built up.
Wow.
So the case is already in court. Wow. So if tomorrow they come, they mark the building or they say court order, they take possession, what would the buyer say? How would he get his money back? So these are some of the things you can do as an investor before you buy into any project.
You've given us like very good examples on, frequent scams that go on. So how would you say investors should, what would you say investors should do, like look out for? Before, you've given us you've told us the legal compliance and the social compliance, but what would you say if people don't know, like what are the simple steps that they need to look out for? Because you've given us very good examples on like all these scams that go on. So what would you say an investor can do to know this before, not to fall victim to all this?
So thank God for internet. I always say the internet is a good vice for us because socially you can Google anybody. Yeah. You can find out about anything that is going on in a particular location. So if, for example, you want to say what's happening with lands in Lekki, put it on Google. Information will come out. And always ask questions because a number of times people have been rushed into making commitment, maybe because the sales is closing, or there's going to be a price review, or buy now, this or that. So don't be pressured to make a buying decision. Yeah, that's one of the things I always tell clients. Even if it's me that I'm marketing a property, I don't put clients under pressure. I allow them to take their time because I've already done my own parts of my own due diligence, especially on the developer's property. Yeah, that's one thing we cannot joke with. You have to ask questions. You have to look at their track record. This particular developer that I want to buy with, which project have they done before? You can go to some of the estates and just go and ask questions. You can even say you want to rent the property there and find out how is the place, how are the people that how are they enjoying, the property, and structuring it too. You also have to know, are they people that build to good quality? Did they build with quality materials and all of that? So you have to just ask all the questions. Don't let anybody rush you. Don't let anybody pressure you. And read between the lines. Read between the lines. I always tell clients that, like, if they're pushing a document to you, even if you are not legally savvy, you can get a lawyer
to read it
and tell you, because there are some things that will be
hidden.
Yeah, hidden
in strategic places.
Hidden clauses. So you have to know what are the other hidden things, like there could be hidden costs. They might just tell you land is 20 million and you didn't know that you still have to pay 3-5 million surveying, you still have to pay for documentation, you have to pay. So you must ask all the questions and rule out anything.
So I think some of the reasons why people really fall for some real estate scams include things like people not wanting to pay for the services of professionals. For instance, you've mentioned that you need to engage land surveyors. It didn't take me too long to know that. That's because I know a couple of people at Alausa, and when I heard some stories about people flying coordinates, using coordinates for Alausa for Lekki Phase 1 to sell a place in Ajah, for instance, that's so when people are not ready to pay, professionals. So for starters, some people are not willing to pay agencies, so they're like, I want to even get to the owner myself. And then in the process, they will introduce you to someone who is not the owner, and then you could fall prey to some scam. So when you don't pay professionals again, you think you can do it yourself, you think you can just wing it, and real estate is a lot more than these things, right? The social inquiry part is also super important. Many clients don't exactly do that. They feel like once the documentation part is sorted, well, I think is where I'm good to go. But really, the neighbors around who look like very informal people, they hold a lot of information that would, really help you make a buying decision. And also, around here, we put a lot of pressure on buyers. Some people tell you price is going up next week, so you have to pay now, and some people, without even doing any due diligence, just want to come in because they think, they found a very good deal. And I think a deal is only so good if it's still a good deal, even in the long run or in like the medium term and all of that. So I'm just putting out there, not paying professionals is one of the leading causes of scams.
Funny enough, most of these fees, they are not expensive. For example, you want to do a search in Alausa. If you walk into Alausa yourself, you can actually run your search with under 20,000.
Wow.
But if you're engaging maybe a lawyer, for example, a lawyer might charge you like 50,000, to take care of their own logistics too. So just be willing and ready to pay professionals because they are giving you their expertise. Yes.
Okay, so what legal structures, maybe even financial, really can help investors avoid these scams? Okay, I'll give an example. So look at what you did with the guys who were telling your clients, price is going up, this promo is ending in a couple of days. So you gave them a positive check to give them you give them some sort of assurance that this money is coming in. We're just hold this check. By Tuesday you can clear it, and then that gave you some time. So what other strategies like this? Because not too many people know this, right? And not every client is even willing to transfer money to their agents to
No, it's not even about transferring money to your agent. So for me personally, even some developers that I work with, I would have done my due diligence about them. Sometimes I would even have gone a step ahead to do the search on the property. So when I have a client, I'm handing you the papers, I'm giving you things that puts your mind at peace, to say, okay, this one, we are good to go. But if you want to go ahead to do your own, I always advise clients to do theirs too. But Don't base your judgment on what any realtor or any developer tells you. Do your own due diligence. Then on the part of making a commitment, you can always negotiate. It's not cast in stone. If anybody tells you, okay, our initial deposit is 20 million, our initial deposit is 30 million, you don't necessarily have to put all the 30 million down. You can actually sit with them and say, okay, I have 10 million now, or I have 20 million, or this is how I want my payment plan to go. And they would listen. They would listen. So these are some of the things that people allow the supposed, oh, I can't afford this. They allow it to slip by them when there are opportunities they can actually take advantage of. So I'll give an example. A particular client of mine bought a property in January, and by February, that was when we had the dollar fluctuation and everything. Because she called me, I was like, okay, TAIWO, I have some money to invest. What would you advise? So I advised her to, she doesn't even stay in Lagos. So I advised her to buy into an apartment. And the apartment about that time was going for 90 million. Currently, the price has gone to 145 million within a space of less than 2 months. So those are some of the things that can happen. When you have your finances ready, when you have your cash ready, make sure you're locking it into properties. I'm not someone that believes in you saving your money in the bank, because your money, 1 million in December, is not the same thing as what you have in February. So always send your money on errands, and one way you can do that is to invest in properties. Yeah.
Another real estate scam that I see investors complain about is you're investing in real estate companies who promise so much in terms of amenities, infrastructure within the estate, and none of these things ever come to, ever see the light of day. So how do you help your clients, when they deal with, developers like that?
Okay, so I've talked about the developer's track record. So are they people that actually make promises and deliver on those promises? I like it when developers underpromise and over-deliver. It's better than for you to say, oh, I'll put this, I'll put that, and you're not even putting it at all. So I tell clients that if you're locked into a particular project, you can watch the development as it goes. So they've told you, okay, the milestone of their development within the first 1 to 3 months, we should have gotten to this stage, we should have started doing this. So you can actually juxtapose, the development with your own payment plan. But you said by the time it's getting to the 6th month, this project would have gotten to like the 3rd floor. Why are you still on the ground floor? So if they have any reason to give you, you can actually justify it as, okay, I will be done. You understand? So you can as an investor, because it's still your money at the end of the day. So just look out for developers that are credible. There are quite a number of them out there. Many of them that are even credible, they don't make too much noise. The ones that make the loudest noise, they're actually the ones that actually don't deliver. Yeah.
So we from, investors trying to protect themselves from scams, because there should be regulatory bodies
that play roles in safeguarding them.
So for the known developers who do not deliver can actually be met with punitive measures, and also people, investors generally, and the environment itself. Can continue to try when people know that government will check. Government is checkmating people who are not in. How would you say government is responding in terms of
like helping them? That's government helping.
Put their money in risk. For instance, in the banking industry, you can't, even if a bank goes on that today, might not lose your phone. There's the NDIC, who has insured all deposits, right? Where real estate, we don't see the presence of regulation.
Because that's that's a very good question.
So currently we have the Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria. That's one body that actually regulates the activities of developers in the industry. So quite a number of time you will see instances where people don't want to register with an organization like that. Maybe because they also want to be shady. So if you meet with a developer, you can directly ask them, are you registered with this body? Are you registered with Redan? If they say they're registered, let them show you their certificates of registration. So that way, you know you are also working with somebody that recognizes authority, or that, abides by regulation. And government is equally trying its best to curb a number of people that are trying to destroy the industry, because we have quite a number of incompetent developers out there that are ready to compromise and the slightest opportunity for their own personal gain. So the regulatory bodies are there, the government agencies are there, they are moving around. So one of the ways I feel the government can equally curb many of these irregularities in the industry is to ensure that they are properly supervising, they are properly inspecting. Not like you send your staff, they will go there, inspect, and they will collect bribe where they are supposed to do.
That's one thing I was going to say, because even all these regulatory bodies,
they are doing 10 floors. You understand? So for every development stage, there is a certificate, a pass certificate that property development must go through. So if you have not passed the foundation level, you can't move on
to the next stage.
Level. So they will come, they will assess every professional. They have, there is something that they use. There's a particular machine that they use to check structural integrity of a building. So many people, there was a time, I made a joke about that thing, and some of my colleagues were like, TAIWO, if you do that thing, people will run away from you, or developers not going to be calling you for work. I'm like, why can't I do it? I wanted to get the that device, and if I go to a site, I'll just
check it and see maybe they used the right components. I can almost say like this thing will have issues. In fact, visually, maybe because I have a background of building, I could look at a place and see like, okay, this fence is tilting, or this decking is so long term there might be. At the end of the day, some clients will not see that, but anybody that has an eye for detail, or that is an expert in that field, they will easily see these defects. So I'll just advise people to not take these things with levity. Make sure you are dotting all your I's and crossing your T's, even if it will cost you a little. Yeah. So what will you say what are the long-term benefits of investing in legitimate real estate for investors? There are a lot. I know. I can imagine that question. So there is capital appreciation, there is rental income potential, there is legacy, because property is something you can pass on to generations and generations. Definitely. And the one that I love the most is the capital appreciation, because over time, we've all seen it. Properties tend to appreciate. And it's also a good hedge against inflation. As we have it now, a number of people that didn't have property, they are really, I won't say they are crying, but they are feeling the brunt. Yeah, because rent now is something else. Yeah, because every day, a landlord can wake up tomorrow and tell you his rent is now 10 million from 5 million. So if you like it, you stay. If you don't like it, you pack out. And guess what? When you are packing out, you don't know what you're going to meet on in front again.
In fact, I've even noticed that when you want to move out of where you're currently staying, if you check apartments like similar size apartments, they are more expensive.
Yes, they're more expensive.
Yeah. So in all, I don't think the government is doing enough. I think we need to see a lot more intervention from the government. Because if you really get that device and move around, I'm sure some people will place your after that space guy. If you see this next time, then I don't break. That's not good. I see that on the construction side, they seem to follow. They try to follow, but again, I can't blame them too, because a lot of projects are springing up almost every day in Lagos. So it might be that they are overstretched. But on our own side, outside of construction, on the real estate side, I don't see a lot of government effort trying to sanitize the system. I think if that can be introduced, we'll see a lot of practices being, checked. There are people who have sold out estates in Bejuleki, there and all those areas. I don't think they have any plans to provide any of the infrastructure they promised.
You'd be shocked of what's going on that way. I tell people that Ekpe is going to be
The next
the next London. Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah, because already we have a place where infrastructure
Yes.
is working.
100.
It's working, and there's still lots that is coming. It has a lot of potential. One, because there's still quite a number of land mass that people can still come into, whether you're going to be doing agriculture, or whether you're going to be doing industrial, or you're going to be doing anything commercial. So it's still a very prime location. So it's fast developing, and government's effort is focused on that side.
Do you think it's focused on that side because they feel like they've maximized all they can do here? Now it's time to focus on the next big thing.
Where opportunity lies, that's where the government always face.
That's what I'm saying. So are they facing it because they've maximized on this part?
They are still maximizing.
Exactly. So why are they now doing? Why is there now a favorite? Do you understand my
I think
question?
there are a lot of new opportunities being created in that axis. The new airports, Lekki port, Dangote refinery,
the coastal road,
everything, many things. In fact, the largest food and logistic hub is in Ekpe.
Wow.
It's in Ekpe, in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa, not just Nigeria.
Doctor, you mentioned something, and I think that also another scam that's prevalent in TAIWO. So I know that a large part of Ekpe was actually earmarked for commercial, mostly agriculture. So some people are now going around to say, oh, we've convinced government to change the zoning of some part of Ekpe from agriculture, for instance, to residential. You know, and there are people who have gone on to run like legal inquiries on those lands, and in some cases it didn't turn out to be that way.
There are some that can be regularized. There are some that can be regularized, but there are still opportunities for regularization. So, for example, some locations have been zoned for agriculture. But if you look at the developments around there, you'll see they are tilting towards residential. So the government would, of course, they'll look at it and they would give an assessment. Can you pay for it? If you have to regularize, if you can pay, they would regularize. The only one I think would be a bit difficult is forestry.
Forestry.
Well, I mean, wouldn't there be like, okay, so the guys who designed the master plans, right? I think they are not stupid. You know?
They're not.
And I don't think Lagos should be entirely residential. I mean, I'm not the governor, I'm not the Surveyor General, so, but it's just an opinion. I think it makes sense to still have, you know, some areas. It doesn't matter if developers have gone to residential projects on an area that's zoned for agriculture, for instance. You know, look at the project you said Lagos State is bringing, the storage, something that's the biggest.
Food and logistics.
Exactly. So imagine food and logistics park. You know, they're going to see lots of traders coming from different parts of the north, bringing food, you know, and all of those things. And everywhere around there is, you know, residential. I mean, I don't think always deviating. First of all, do you think government is open to always moving away from their plan just because the private sector has pumped in?
Not in all cases. Because there are still some public overriding purposes that government will not look, they won't shake body. So for example, you have a future expansion of, you know, the transport system. You know that, okay, Lagos is increasing in numbers, the population is skyrocketing every day. There was a time I even had like about 6,000 people coming to Lagos every day. You understand? So if you look at that number, they are also working on the back end to ensure that they are able to accommodate these expansions. Yeah. So there are many ways they won't even compromise. So even if you have some top official, top person backing you up, I'm sure they won't listen. So there are lots of bottlenecks that developers to face when it comes to getting building approval. So you will hear, oh, your file is in one office, it's going to move to another office. So it takes a long time.
So government has to cut down
they
the
need to cut down.
process.
And I like one thing that Lagos State is currently doing. They are trying to digitize all their systems, so that you don't have to have all of those bottlenecks and delays and all of that. What stops us from getting building approval in under 4 weeks or 3 weeks? It shouldn't take 6 months. So if, for example, a developer has gone to the bank to get a loan and all of that, and he has not gotten building approval in 6 months, and subscribers are already subscribing, we understand?
You're doing
Yeah. So he can't build, or he's forced to build stylishly, codedly.
While he thinks the approval will come out,
Yes.
and then along the line something comes up. He might not just want to follow through.
Yeah. So those are some of the things we are experiencing in the industry, and I feel everybody has a stake. They have a responsibility to or an obligation to dispense. Every one of us, whether you are an investor, whether you're the government, and I always like the public-private partnership. Because when the government brings their own resources and the private sector comes with their own resources, you will see that
magic. Yeah, I agree.
So Neil, welcome to.
We have a role to play. We all have a role to play. Really, I really learned a lot from this session, honestly, because there's so many things I didn't know about. Really, you're doing a great job. Well done. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much, Dr. TAIWO Anjorin. It's been a pleasure having you here with us on the To Be Quite Honest podcast. And you've been quite honest with your with your experiences. And
very honest. She was very articulating.
Yeah. So even as a realtor myself, I mean, I learned a ton from you. To our viewers, we hope we've been able to provide you,
wonderful insights.
Yeah, provide you like loads of insights on how to stay away from real estate scams,
frauds,
and also for everybody who's within the industry, lawyers, governments themselves, realtors, investors. We all have a part to play. Don't be too greedy. Don't make decisions in a hurry. Let's do the right things, and we'll clean up the industry, and to be a lot better.
It will be a safer place to
safer place for everybody.
Yeah,
there's a lot of money in the diaspora that's hanging, and because of the trust issues down here, many of those funds are not. We don't have them with us here.
It's not as
exactly.
And
we'll clean up the system.
A lot of
opportunities. Exactly. Yeah. So,
but we have you, so I'm sure we're in the right step. We're in the right step since you're here. So,
yes. So
but yes,
thank you so much, Dr. Anjorin. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much to our viewers. Thank you, Norma.
As always.
All right.
See you guys next time.
See you guys next time. Bye bye.